to get his perspective on this huge ACC matchup. But looking at our angles for this one, first and foremost, Derek, Haslam makes this Duke -5, right around that number, total of 151. My numbers actually make this closer to Duke -3, but I kind of think the market will shade more towards Haslam's numbers, especially with home court advantage and what we're seeing across college basketball. I mean, good example on Wednesday night, Michigan State closes -9, -9.5 on senior night. So you have the senior night angle baked into some of these spreads. May not think so to some bettors, but it does matter to the market. And Northwestern loses that game by 4 on the road, even without Matthew Nicholson. And keep in mind, the Wildcats are still in line for a double bye in the Big Ten tournament. But I digress, Derek. What do you make of this ACC matchup? ACC potential regular season title on the line here for UNC, at least outright. They clinched a share of it with their victory against Notre Dame on Tuesday, but Duke can get a share of that ACC title with a win over UNC.
Yeah, this is this is a tough matchup if you're thinking of laying 5. Duke and UNC, they really get up for one another, and these games are mostly tight. Whenever they play one another, it's tough for me to want to lay 5 if the number is going to be around 5. I do agree with you on that. If it's shaded towards Duke, I don't think I want to lay that many points. And you've kind of talked about this ad nauseum, Eli. Baycott's a liability in that ball screen coverage, and Duke went after him at will in the opening half of their last matchup. If he played drop, they burned UNC from deep. If he came out on him, the guards took him to the rim and scored at the rim. I really expect Shire to go after that once again in this matchup. In their last matchup, I thought UNC kind of benefited early off some Duke missed layups, and they got off and ran in transition. They ended up scoring like 16 fast break points in the game. I don't think they can really replicate that, because some of these shots that I thought Duke missed are going to actually go down. And Duke only allows 7 fast break points a game. It ranks in the 86th percentile per CBB analytics. They don't really give up that many transition buckets. They get back on defense. So I do think I do want to play Duke live. I don't want to lay the 5, if that's what it's going to be. UNC, they also rank 320th in the country in open 3 rate on defense, according to shot quality. It's really hasn't burned them that much, though, in conference play. They only allow opponents to shoot 30% clip, but they have gotten shelled against some of these good 3-point shooting teams like UConn, Clemson. So I'd expect a better shooting performance from Duke this time around. If I can find a live number, I might try to back Duke at something like 2 or something under a possession, but I'm not going to run to the window to bet 5 if that's what we get. So
good angle on looking at Duke live. Maybe you throw the Blue Devils in a money line parlay too. If you want to lay it, I also don't blame you. Senior night for Duke. The one thing that is different with Duke going back to that first meeting versus now, when you think about teams peaking, I hate to say it, but I think the Blue Devils are starting to peak. Noted Duke Blue Devil hater over here, but Duke averaging 6.2 points per 100 possessions more with Sean Stewart on the floor. His presence, man, at both ends has been huge. That coming via Hoop Explorer. He only played 2 minutes, keep in mind, in that first meeting, and UNC, like you alluded to, won by 9 and covered. Duke's offensive rebounding percentage increases by nearly 20 percentage points with Stewart on the floor. And looking back at that North Carolina State win for Duke on Monday night on the road, Stewart did a great job against DJ Burns. Now, Burns isn't Armando Bacot, but Stewart forced some turnovers by fronting Burns in the post, and he also pulled the chair out on Burns once, which led to a Jared McCain fast break opportunity. Bacot putting up 25 in the first matchup. I'm not saying Stewart is going to hold him to 5 or even single digits from a point standpoint, but I do think that creates a little bit of a better matchup for Duke, assuming Stewart can handle Bacot's load in the paint. And then, like you mentioned, UNC ranking just inside the top 320, which as in anything to write home about when it comes to open 3-point rate for the opposition. And Duke can shoot it really well. Top 15 in 3-point percentage, especially with McCain's emergence over the last couple months, really, since the start of ACC play, even going back to when Proctor suffered that injury late in non-conference. Huge game for Duke, too, trying to get a share of the ACC regular season title. So I think we're both leaning towards Duke here. Just depends on the number on the opener. Also, if you want to wait live like Derek hit on, I don't blame you. If you want to sign up for North Carolina sports betting promos, keep in mind pre-launch promos going on this week, leading up to the launch on March 11th, a day before the ACC tournament. You could do so over at thelines.com. More than a couple great sportsbook promos with North Carolina launching officially legal sports betting next week.